Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Fore Dads Podcast. Hope you all had a great weekend. A lot of interesting stuff going on right now. We're gonna kick it off by just talking about the Honda Classic. Just kind of get some thoughts. So I'm gonna let John lead the way here and just what'd you think? What'd you think of the tournament?
Well, I mean, the tournament itself, the amount of people, the amount of top players that played it this week was obviously very disappointing. I saw some, I think like John Rahm, and there's like a few other top players were playing like a charity event for fun or something. I don't know what it was off the top of my head, but the course itself, the PGA National, is just an amazing course. I think it's another Jack Nicklaus course that he designed where they got the bear trap on, I think it's like 15, 16, 17. Mm-hmm. And one of my buddies played it. Had a great time, good experience with it, but it seems like an amazing course to play at. So it was definitely unfortunate that, some of the top players weren't able to be there. But on the other hand, I thought it was really cool to see Christian, I think his first name is Christian, right? Christian Kirk, the guy who won.
Chris Kirk.
Chris Kirk. Okay, maybe is Christian Kirk. I think he's the NFL player. My bad. Okay. The receiver for, I think, the Cardinals and someone else now. But anyway, so it was really cool to see him win because I think it had been 8 years since he had his last PGA Tour win. And not only that, but he has been overcoming alcoholism. And he legitimately almost lost his card. I think I remember it was like a year or two ago where like he had to finish in like the top 10 to secure his card. And it was like one of the last tournaments that he could have done. And he fortunately was able to pull that off. But it's just really cool to see how he was able to overcome all that adversity. And eventually win. I think it was like 1.8 million was the pot that he was able to come up with. Obviously not the purse, and so it was cool. And I think the last few holes were really interesting as well because he went up against Cole. His last name Cole. Mm-hmm. Am I saying that?
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool, neck and neck. So I thought it made it interesting, even though Eric Cole. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, what about you?
I thought it was a great tournament. I mean, I honestly. I think it was Thursday. I just was like, wow, there's not that many. There's not that many big names. I mean, I wasn't disappointed by it, but I think it kind of. I personally think it kind of highlights like really how dominant these guys are, in these tournaments. I mean, to see like a total of like 14 under throughout the week. I mean, if you could imagine someone like Rahm, for an example, would probably throw up like a 20, 25. It'd just be untouchable.
Could you imagine if Rahm was like the only big guy in that tournament and like he would have like a 27 under?
Yeah, he would have dominated. I mean, I've played PGA National. It's not a very tough course. I mean, if the wind is great, but it looked like the weather was perfect. Mm-hmm. But still, it was just good to see some other guys get their chance. I mean, you had Chris, you had Eric, you had Tyler Duncan up there at the top, and then one guy that I believe this guy's out of San Jose. I think he came out of San Jose Country Club. His name is Justin Suh. He's I've seen the name before, and I think he went to USC.
Okay.
But I believe he was a member at San Jose Country Club, and I remember seeing like his bag there, his Cobra bag. So it's good to see him up there. Good to see Ryan Gerald. Just guys that you really don't see up there very often.
Giving them a chance to secure some FedEx points.
Literally. But I mean, I might be wrong on this. I might be completely off, but I could have swore I saw in Zaire Golf that like the pot, like Chris Kirk took home like $4 million.
No,
it wasn't.
I think I'll look it up right now, but I'm almost positive that it was 8 because I literally looked that up.
So the purse was 8.4.
1.5.
He took home 1.5. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, even Shannon Lowry was up there. He finished tied for 5th. They had,
and he was probably the biggest name up there.
3. Well, and there's Ben Martin too. He was, he used to kind of be a relevant dude, but he. I mean, they had like 5 people tied for 5th.
And then you got Billy Horschel, who didn't do well, but
I really liked Billy when he won the FedEx Cup a few years back, but man, that guy is just a head case though for sure. I mean, he's always changing something in his swing that's just like, what are you doing?
I mean, he's from the crazy thing was like he went to University of Florida, and apparently his like record in Florida courses, is terrible. Like he just does not do well, and you would expect the exact opposite. Probably someone from Florida played at Florida, at least have more success in those areas because similar grass, similar weather, similar temperatures, all those things.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's definitely has a hot head, and those are kind of people entertaining to watch from time to time. They definitely.
I mean, Billy. I mean, as you've seen, like with the FedEx Cup, Billy can run away with it if he starts out front. But again, he's one of those players that like needs to start off hot, and he just kind of goes from there. If he doesn't, he's just in his head. I mean, people have even shown videos of him on the range, like after rounds, trying to change something. He's constantly like talking to himself on the course and saying like, get the chicken wing down or do something, I mean, but again too, like it's a different level up there, like there's every shot has a massive amount of money tied to it. So, it makes sense. But being that you and I are both baseball players and we both understand how boring sometimes baseball can be at the pace in which it goes, what are your thoughts on these ridiculous rules that the MLB is implementing right now with pitch counts?
Dumb. That's it, dude. Dumb. I mean, I know that their goal is to attract more fans, but adding a 20-second clock is not going to attract a ton of fans. They're still going to leave early. They're still not going to pay attention to the games. It's never going to be a game that's like basketball or like football or like hockey that's constantly moving. I mean, football is the one that doesn't move as much, but obviously when the play happens, there's a lot of stuff going on. But I think it's honestly really stupid. Baseball is such a mental game where you're always trying to, you're playing chess with the batter, especially as a pitcher, right?
Yep.
And part of it is like being slow, throwing off their timing. Some of it is, speeding up, being a faster pitcher, annoying the hitter, getting them to speed up their things. It's just such a mental game.
And here's my thing: you have 20 seconds from when you put your foot on the mound, to get your sign, to then get set. And if there's a runner on, like
that's what I don't get.
You can't sit there and do like 2 or 3 looks anymore. It's either like 1, 2, which I think that's another thing is like no one. I mean, since Ricky Henderson, the percentages of people stealing bags has decreased tremendously. I mean, the only guy who really stole, I think, over 30 bases in a season was, I think, the last person, and correct me if I'm wrong, I may be completely wrong, but I think was Christian Yelich. He was one of the only people who had done it where he hit like 30 bombs.
30.
Yeah, he had 30 stolen bases, but I think he was like one of the last people. And I mean, Mike Trout's done it in his career. I think Shohei caught close this year. But still, it's like, but I mean, like even now, I feel like you got to think of it as like a repetition. Like if you're lifting, if you're cutting down the time in which you rest in between each sets, like you're going to tire yourself out, which means like guys like Max Scherzer are not going to go 9 innings anymore. It's going to be 7. Then here comes the bullpen. Here comes this. Like you just can't do that. And I think it's already starting to feud a lot of fans because of the fact, like one of the biggest examples was, believe it was the Padres versus the Braves. I think the time clock went out. The dude like walked over to first base and the blue called strike 3 without even a pitch being thrown, and they lost the game. Bases loaded, full count.
Exactly. Like, you know how much, especially with sports betting now, you know how upsetting that's going to be. And I mean, I do think it's cool that it goes both ways in a sense for the hitter where they have to be in the batter's box. But do I think it should be gone completely? Of course. I think that the runners might be able to time stealing, just like
everything's gonna have to be a fast pitch. Any pitcher, like imagine if Lester was still in this league, like
you would hate it, dude.
His holds were so long already just to try and throw off. But I mean, he still had the super high leg kick, still got stolen off all the time. But it's just like,
have you watched college baseball in the last few years? Like much college baseball? Yeah.
No, dude, not really. Honestly, I'd rather watch softball just because I feel like it's a little bit more fast paced.
Dude, okay, no, so over the last few years, the college baseball, they've been doing these pitch clocks, right? They've been having them in their thing. So when it comes up to regionals and stuff, that's when you obviously get a lot more coverage. Regionals, super regionals, World Series, and I've noticed that a lot of pitchers they'll just step off and do a fake, and they'll do a fake pickoff move, aka they'll literally just step off and that it's obviously just to reset the clock. And I'm like, okay, well then what's the point of making a clock if they're going to be able to do that? Which I think is smart because I do the same exact thing. If I'm not ready to do it, okay, fake pickoff move, reset the clock, cool. Like it's kind of like a workaround of the clock, which I assume that the pitchers are probably going to find out some loopholes, and someone's going to take advantage and find out one of them, and then it's just going to be like, well, you just implemented something that is kind of obsolete now because there's a loophole. And you can't really fix it because if you do, you're going to have runners basically jumping the snap like a defensive end does on a quarterback saying hike, and they try and, time it off right away. And that gives the catchers, obviously, if the MLB wants more offense, this will definitely help. But, I mean, I just think as playing baseball, that's the one thing that all of my coaches always talked about. Baseball's like the best game in the sense that there was never a clock. There's no time constraints. It can take 2 hours, 4 hours. And as a kid watching a professional sport, you know how nice it was to be like, everyone says when there's an extra inning game, oh, it's free baseball, right? Free, like, cause you only paid for 9 innings, but you're getting 10, you're getting 11. So great. Now it's like, you're not staying there for 3 hours. You might stay there for 2.5, which hypothetically would be good. But at the same time, like, the United States is all about their commercials. And so if this also shortens up commercial time, I don't know, they're not going to be able to expand too much on monetizing that side of things. But I don't know. I think it's just really dumb. Honestly, I think it's so dumb.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I was raised my entire life about controlling the tempo, right? You dictate the pace of the game, like, you want to move quick, then you're going to move quick. You want to fast pitch people, you do your thing. But if not, like, throw off tempo, maybe hold for like, a 5 count, hold for a 10 count, do a pick, do whatever, right? Get in the batter and the runner's head if need be. But now I just feel like, I don't know, man. I mean, the MLB and the people that are running it reminds me a lot of like, Can't Hit the Curve, right? With Clint Eastwood. Right. And how the dude from Scooby-Doo who played Shaggy, right? And how he's like the analytics guy. He's trying to be like Jonah Hill in Moneyball, right? Where he's like, oh yeah, this guy tanks the ball every third pitch or whatever it is, right? And Clint Eastwood's trying to push his message across. Like, you hear the difference. You can hear the sound. Like, there's certain sounds that that the game of baseball creates where that there's something different about it. And at the end, basically, they take this kid, Gentry, as the first round pick for the Atlanta Braves, and there's a peanut boy that I think is what they refer him to, and he's a left-handed, basically. What was that guy? What was the Dodger pitcher, the lefty?
Not Kershaw?
No, Koufax.
Sandy. Okay.
Yeah. They refer to his mechanics as being like Sandy Koufax and his curveball. This kid Gentry can't hit a curveball. Like, and they're just like, oh my God. And they were going off of all the numbers. And Clint Eastwood just looks at the owner and just says, I told you, like, this kid is great, but he's not a first round pick, And it's the same thing. I think that they're looking at everything from an analytics standpoint, and it's like, it's not about the analytics. I mean, if you're looking at trying just to move more revenue, trying to, sell more tickets, you got to do something that keeps people in the park. Like selling $20 beers is not going to keep people there. It's way too expensive for your average person, right? Which is, we've talked about this offline where I was talking about Niners games. It's like Niners games is the only people that like even the richest person can't even afford 50-yard line seats. It's just stupid. The price of entertainment is just way too much, but it's supposed to be about the game, and baseball has been struggling for a long time to keep butts in the seats, to build fan growth. But it's like it's just not as it's just not as intriguing as much anymore. Like they tried to tighten up the baseball so that way you could hit more home runs. They did all this different different stuff.
The runner on second and like the same thing, which is ridiculous. Yeah. But the one thing that I do like, the only rule that has come about, I think this year for the first year, which I'm actually looking forward to, is the shift. I do like that they're banning the shift. Like, I get it. Yeah, okay. Technically, you move your players around. But, I mean, you have a shortstop, you have a second baseman, and they're supposed to be playing those positions, right? Obviously, you can move them around, but in the NFL, you have to have, like, they have rules that you have to keep players in a specific area, right? Like, you can't have a center all the way outside, of the little hash lines, right? You got to do things like that. And I get that obviously some guys are obviously pull hitters and it makes it a little bit easier by putting a bunch of guys there. But I think I think that's what I like. I like getting rid of that because
I agree. I mean, if you rip one down the line, there's a shortstop behind the second baseman and he pulls it like, yeah, it is unfortunate too. But again, you want to talk about analytics, right? As coaches, I think that's where the analytics do matter the most is what is the tendency of that person. I mean, you mentioned it just a few minutes ago. Like it is a chess game. If you have the answers there, somebody's tell, like it's not cheating. It's something that you do consistently, I mean, this isn't banging on a trash can to call a fastball or something like this.
You're not asking for outside help, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is literally like you've watched film. You've seen it. You constantly see that, hey, this person literally pulls the ball 80% down the right field line. Like, let's get somebody over there. So,
yeah,
I think it does kind of like contradict, a part of the game because obviously game is test day. Like you've prepped, you've done your work, you understand who you're going against, you know what their strengths and weaknesses are. It's part of strategy. You're taking the strategy out of the game. I mean, but again, I'm kind of neutral about it because if you do rip one down the line, you should be rewarded. But I mean, think of Pedroia back in his day. Like the guy just wouldn't let anything through anyways. So, if you got a good guy there, it really shouldn't make a difference. But,
right.
If you got like an Ugla there, then you're just like, oh, cool, I'm picking on that guy all game. So, but to the rule, I think the MLB really needs to – I think they just need to look for more youthful sponsors and, kind of start from from inside compared to trying to go to the franchises and saying like, hey, you guys need to start doing this. We need to implement this as a full league thing. I really think that they just need to start from internal, right? You talk about at-bat. Subscriptions for at-bat have dropped like almost like 20% every single year. So because it's boring. I mean, it's not like golf where you can watch a featured player, you can watch a featured group. It's literally like, oh, I could just go watch it on NBC or go watch it on ESPN the same way, but I'm paying a subscription for it. There's nothing that's like,
right.
You're not getting other player views. You're not getting like any type of post interviews with like your favorite player. Nothing. It's literally just asynchronous, like all the way through the whole entire way. It's boring. And I think that's where the game has needed to change. Just like a lot of this stuff now with like the PGA and Live, right? Live is changing the dynamic of golf with basically bringing in a more youthful type of experience where the PGA is, oh, you need to show up with your shirt tucked. You need to have a collared shirt. You need to have a sports coat and clean shaven before you show up to the course. It's like, this is Scotland, dude. It's fucking Florida.
Yeah, I know, right?
Get out of here.
Right.
So that's it is tough to see, but I mean, again, there's a lot of change going on. Who knows? Maybe some players adjust to it and others don't. It's just,
I know.
Just risk and reward.
We're going to have to wait it out for sure. But let's jump back into golf really quickly. I know, Liv had their first tour of the year. They hosted in Mayakoba, which I believe is right outside Cancun or in Cancun, Mexico. And I watched it. I watched a few days of it, not consistently like hours and hours. I will say, Julio mentioned earlier offline that, they created a Live Golf app, which is pretty cool. I downloaded it. I watched it. The only downside was they don't have the picture-in-picture on the iPhone, where you can back up and, open up other apps while watching Live at the same time, kind of like how you could do on YouTube or what you could do on other, streaming apps. So I thought that was kind of a bummer. But overall, I thought it was a really cool tournament to watch in the sense that they talked a lot about team. And that's really what it was. There's 48 players, there's 12 teams, and the team aspect is what it was. Because even if I think Bryson DeChambeau said it best, he was interviewed after his team won the whole team event. Mm-hmm. And he said how important it was for him, even though he was outside the top 10 or top 20, for every shot of his that mattered because that affected the team score. And I don't know if you know how the team scores work for Live, but what they do is every day, because 3-day event, you have 4 players. They'll take the best 3 scores out of those 4, and that will go towards the team score every day. So I guess I didn't really hear too much of the broadcast. Obviously, I kind of play it in the background more than anything, just golf in general. And so apparently they were pushing that team aspect as much as possible. So Bryson's team won. I think Charles Howell, the third. I don't know how old the guy is, but he won $5 million. So I don't remember the last time he's won something that big, but I feel like people around Ian Poulter's age in their mid 40s, early 50s that are, trailing off. This is the best thing that they could have done. All their time and money and stuff is probably dried up. You might have a lightning in a bottle for one weekend, but at least this is guaranteed money and you have a chance at winning not just the singles, but the team event as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's multiple streams of winning for you, basically. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's a lot like how the Ryder Cup was, right? You have 4 different events. You have, the match play, then you have the teams match, the teams game, and everything like that. But yeah, it looks like Paul Casey had quite a contribution this weekend for the Crushers. Looks like he totaled up at 206 points. Charles Howell had 197. I'm going to probably butcher this guy's name.
It's a tricky one, huh?
Lahiri. He totaled up 215, and then Bryson only had one day, which was the last day where he really came in clutch to finish par, to finish three over overall for 213 points. So, it's a pretty interesting format, but it, like I said in our last podcast, Live kind of starting to seem like what you and your buddies would essentially play on a pickup skins game on a Saturday and Sunday. That's literally what it seems like now. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but again, it makes it fun, right? It's more relatable to
the average golfer, the
average golfer, right? Literally, this format even seems like as if it was what Justin and JT were talking about, or I'm sorry, not JT and Jordan were talking about in Full Swing, which is the hammer game, right? You raise somebody and there you go. You got an extra bet going on per shot, to do something. Mm-hmm. And then it looks like Aces came in second place. You got DJ who walked out a pretty good number there, 217 points. And then the Johnny Manziel of golf over here with 218, finishing plus 5 for the weekend, dude.
I'm sure he's happy. I'm sure he's happy he made the jump, getting guaranteed money. But did you see any photos or anything of the teams?
I saw some highlights, on Instagram and TikTok, but I really didn't look much further. I was just like, oh wow, that's bad shot by Patrick Reed.
well, they took like the team aspect, not just on the air, but like their outfits. They all wore like the same outfits, right?
Yeah,
the same color, same pants, the same bags. Apparently, they're getting rid of like their corporate logos. Like if you notice, Bryson, he's not Cobra anymore. Like we talked about, didn't we talk about in one of our podcasts, or was it offline? Where like he's not with the Cobra driver.
I just heard he wasn't playing the driver. I didn't know he didn't completely drop Cobra.
I don't know if he completely did, but like there was like no stuff on his polo. There was nothing on his bag, and that's kind of what Liv is trying to do as well. Drop all those massive sponsors or something like that.
I don't know if Liv is actually trying to drop all the sponsors. Like I saw the news where like TaylorMade dropped, DJ. Like Adidas dropped him as well. Like these guys are just starting to basically lose their sponsors because they're not on the big stage like the PGA. They're not going to be moving as much. And, as we saw in full swing, like where Colin Morikawa was sitting down with the Adidas reps and they were trying to build his closeout for Augusta, he was like, yeah, like that, like I love the material, but like that color scheme like isn't me. Like I would never rock that. So clearly these guys go through like, consultative meetings about like, hey, let us dress you because you're the poster child for us. Where again,
gosh, I would love that. I would love that.
You're a little golfing prima donna, but
yeah, that I am.
But I mean. Still, it's like actually, you know what to say that. So, guys, if you haven't checked out our TikTok, we've been throwing up some really good content on there. Definitely go check us out. I think there's some good fun stuff, but it also gives you a chance to see that Teeds likes to press his pants when he goes and plays golf. He thought he could swing it by me, but I caught it that you pressed your pants.
And I got him. No, I got him tailored, and I got him an inch too short.
I saw the lines on the legs. So I'm like, this guy really irons out his pants before he goes to play.
I don't. I don't know how to use an iron.
Well, I don't either. Off subject, but I burned a really nice shirt one time, just like not realizing how hot it was. So now, I use a steamer.
Steamer, yep, right.
Steamer now. It works better, and I don't have to worry about taking up this big old
iron board and all that.
Yeah, yep. Iron board, and then having to heat up the iron, and then making sure I have to add water. But anyways, yeah. Back to what I was saying. I think a lot of these players are starting to lose their sponsors, and
very possible.
And even like I don't know if it was just me, but I don't think Brooks is playing Srixon anymore.
The clubs or the balls or both or whatever it is,
like clubs and balls.
Really?
Remember, he did a full on equipment.
So
Contract
random.
with them.
So
it
random.
was very well, dude. I will admit those ZX7s that he was playing, those things are fucking money. Like those are really good clubs. Like Srixon,
so like, why aren't everybody playing? Why is that like
a lot of people were playing them, especially like here in my area. There was a big push for. I mean, I swear to God, I saw those irons in everybody's bags with the Cleveland wedges, and I was like,
are they combined? Are they together?
Yeah. So it's Cleveland, Srixon, and Exio. Exio is I think it's Japanese. It's a Japanese club making.
Isn't Srixon too or no?
Yeah. So Srixon owns Cleveland and Exio.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Or no, I'm sorry. Cleveland owns
that makes more sense.
and Srixon.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, like I saw those clubs. I mean, when he signed that contract, they moved a lot of clubs because he was the hot player at the time.
Oh, of course.
And I saw him in everybody's bag. But now I will admit, I see maybe four to 7 sets in the pre-owns now, and they're like crispy. Like they look like they were fresh out the box, which means I think a lot of people maybe undersold themselves on how easy they were to hit, because they do look like a very player improvement club, compared to like the ZX5s. The ZX5s have a little bit thicker sole, but they still have that very classic top line that makes them look kind of blade-ish. So
gotcha.
Yeah, I think that could have been the other thing too.
Interesting.
But yeah, speaking of equipment, I think it's a good time to roll into Titleist, your boys. about them jacking up the prices on the new 2023 Pro V1 and Pro V1Xs. They are now $55 a ball, or I'm sorry, $55 a dozen.
That would be a massive.
That would be a massive jump. Thanks, Sleepy Joe.
Yeah, $500. What? Just one pack of which one sack of 12 balls? Sorry, dude.
These come with a tracker on them.
Yeah, right.
Are they floatable if I hit them in the water?
Yeah,
Can come back to me.
Do they not scrape or scratch at all?
Yeah, exactly.
But
what are your thoughts on that? Since you're a Titleist guy, through and through.
Let's see here. 55 divided by 12, 458 a golf ball. Well, I'm fortunate enough to have stocked up on a few boxes and not being able to play as much previously. So, and for Christmas and birthday gifts and things like that, I asked for these kind of balls. So, I don't see myself getting them anytime soon unless I get a ton of $10 off Dick's Sporting Goods, gift cards and just put it on it. But
you don't want to get the X outs, dude, or the practice ones?
Heck no. Heck no, dude. Heck no. Even if no one knows it, I know it.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
the worst thing, And I don't see myself getting a brand new set of balls unless I really run out. I think I have 2 or 3 more boxes of Pro V1 X's already from last year, and they always try like when we had was it Tony, your friend Tony, that was the fitter. We had him on. The whole thing about this global guy gained 3 yards, this global gained 10 yards. The next year, every year you can gain this, that, and that. And it's how much better can you really get from what the PGA Tour allows in a golf ball to the next year? How much can you really get better? So honestly, up until 2 years ago, I was playing 5-year-old Pro V1s that were brand new in the box. I just never used them because I went on a hiatus for a few years. And I didn't see no difference. And you're not really going to see, unless you play every single day, hitting thousands of golf balls, or maybe like you where you play every weekend, you might notice a slight difference. But, dude, I'm on the grind looking on Mercari. I'm looking on eBay for those company ones that people got that don't golf and they just try and flip it on eBay, for $25-$30. Draw a little black line on the ball so you can't see that it's the Pelican Reef staff or Pelican Hill golf ball. But obviously I'm not too happy with the price. I think it was $49 or $47.99 last year.
47. No, they were 49.
Regardless, it's dumb. When you're a company like that, to me it kind of reminds me of Starbucks when they bump up a price a nickel, right? A nickel, it's do you really need them? You're Starbucks. Do you really need to bump up any prices ever? You're always going to be making money. You're always going to be making money. No matter what you do, you could go under for the next 10 years and still be ahead handsomely. There's no reason to bump up prices, but inflation, right?
When it's something like Starbucks as well as golf balls, I think it's just supply and demand. If you're going to start playing, you're going to pick it up. People need balls.
If people are still buying them, why drop the price, right?
Exactly. There's no ifs and buts about it. Shit, even for you and I, it's baby stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The markup on this stuff is insane. It's not even that great. The kids are probably only going to use it for maybe once or twice a week. It's not that big of a deal, but yet you see it and you're like, shit, do I need it? Then you try and look at your kid, give me one if it's a no, or give me a if it's a yes. And they'll just be I was all right, sure. I guess we just got you a gift. But I will say, so I not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I'm a low enough handicap and a decent enough golfer to feel the difference. And obviously, I've shared with you tons of times, when I go to the golf shop, I always jump on the monitor, check out, see what's new with stuff. How much more of a difference am I really getting compared to what I have? It's not a lot. It's really not a lot. I may see maybe 2 or 3 yards extra in carry, but it's not something to make me be okay, here's $5,000 for a whole new bag. Thank you.
Right.
No. But I will say I was very, very impressed because I found these vice balls. Let me go with the orange side. Found these vice balls online. I see a lot of people at Target always picking them up when I go with my wife over there to go find baby stuff. And I've always been curious about it. So a buddy of mine that I play my Thursday Skins game with was like, dude, he's like, what do you think of vice? And I'm like, I've only seen it. I've never hit it. I hit one. It felt great. And then I hit my ball, and which I typically play a Pro V1. My golf balls were literally directly across from each other. Didn't lose, didn't gain it, anything. They were directly next to each other. So a week went by, went over to the golf shop. I ordered some of these, and these were a heck of a deal. These Pro Pluses are like $29 a box. I got 4 dozen, came with an extra one. I think it was like 160 something bucks I spent total on them. But I took them over to the golf shop and I jumped on the Foresight. Spin numbers, launch numbers, everything were the exact same. Where I saw a massive improvement, I got about 2,000 RPMs more on my wedges with these.
So they're flying back, huh? They're spinning like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, on the monitor, it looked like they were spinning back like pretty decent, not like crazy, but like what you would expect from a wedge shot. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure like with these wet greens right now, they probably will tug back a little bit more than normal, but just flight it, bounce it, get that one stop if you can hit that shot. But I want more. So
did you get 5 boxes of yellow?
No, I got white ones, and then I had our logo, and I have it put. And then
you got our logo on there too?
Yeah,
nice.
so I put the logo on the side here, and then for where it says Pro Plus, I ended up having it say Fore Dads Pod.
Nice. So, if you lose any of those bad boys and you see those on the course,
yeah. And so, but even that, like that only cost me $179 for all those. So I was like, only $10 more. Shit, sign me up. I'll take it.
Done.
But yeah, man.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah. So
do you think you'll see any pro players that ever making the jump to Vice? Because my other thing would be durability. It'd be interesting for you to play a full round with a ball and see how the durability compares to.
I have played. Here it is. I mean, it's the same thing, but I mean, I was rolling it in my office here. But I mean, this one I just played with on Saturday, and it's fine. I mean, it has one little scrape because I hit the tree, but other than that, like it's fine.
You were aiming for the tree, right? It wasn't just totally by accident.
I tugged my drive. I had like a window that was maybe like this big between a tree, and I tried to draw it in between, and I just nicked it, and then it just like batted down, hit the cart path, and then trickled back in the fairway. And I was like, thank God it didn't go into the lake. So yeah, that was it. Also, I'm not going to run downstairs to show you guys this, but holy smokes, dude. I got the iRange Sport tripod. Thank you, Buster and Jack, for the 10% off discount. I got one, and dude, so I know last time we were talking, you were telling me to get a GoPro. I got this thing, and man, it's sick. You just stick it right into the ground. It's got a magnet, so your phone just goes right up on there. And I just have the Shot Tracer app open and let it go live, and I hit it, and it gives me pretty awesome shots. I like it.
Definitely gonna have to show me some of that content for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be up soon. I've been busy, so I just gotta put some effort to it. But it looks sick. I like it. I think it's super convenient, especially if you're at the range. And dude, this thing is so durable. Like it's literally like a 2x4, like a 2x4 like PC pipe with like
really
just this. It's nice though. I like it because it's like you can put it in your bag. It's all ready to go. If you're one of those guys that's like trying to use it as like an aim stick so you can like hit draws around it, like how people stick their alignment stick in the ground.
Yeah.
I feel like that thing can take a beating. So I'm just saying, like, it's literally like a little league aluminum bat. And I like it though. I like the design. It's super lightweight. It's cool. Super convenient too. Like, I mean, you just line it up with the ball, and obviously, your camera, you just want to make sure that you're far enough to where you're not looking like you're right up against it. You can get your whole swing, but I think it's sick. I was like, this is great. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Excited to use it more.
Oh, man, that's awesome. So before we start wrapping up, I was wondering, Arnold Palmer Invitational this weekend, the weekend before TPC at Sawgrass Players Championship, which obviously draws a lot of people as well. I think, I don't know if you're looking it up right now, but 2022, I'm trying to think who won it. I'm not sure if it was Bryson last year. No. I'm sorry. It was Scotty Scheffler last year, I think. I ended up looking it up. But I think you're going to have a massive field. Definitely something like that the Honda Classic definitely did not bring to the table last week. For example, I set up a DraftKings lineup, and I mean, I got crushed. I didn't do the Honda because I feel like it was just such a toss-up. You could have really picked anybody. You didn't really know who was going to come out. But I picked my 6 picks. Hovland, I think, was like top 3 or 4 last year. So I grabbed him. Chris Kirk coming off a win in Florida. Ride him high. He's a low buy, so, high sell. And low buy hopefully can help me out there. John Rahm, obviously, is killing it. Keith Mitchell, who we saw, one of the best visors in the PGA Tour right now. Joel Dahman, who everyone saw in full swing, definitely pulling for him. No matter what he is. And then JJ Spawn, he was like my last guy that I was like, I know him. I think JJ Spawn, like in the first 2 weeks of the tournaments for PGA Tour where they're playing in Hawaii, they had the Century of Champions and then whatever that other tournament was. He was the only guy who legitimately rocked a button-down T-shirt that did not tuck it in. It looked like he was rocking like a Tommy Bahami shirt. I was like, they allowed that on the PGA Tour?
Well,
like,
remember a few years ago, Ricky did it too. Ricky was wearing a button down with the shirt untucked as well. And it's like the iconic, like that way, like so far right. I forget what tournament it was.
Oh, really?
It was like, it's so far right.
Well, I saw Phil. Phil did the same thing. He literally rocked a long sleeve button down where it legitimately looked like he was going to the office.
Oh, the white one. It
looked horrible. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I've seen on, I think it's what's that? What are those comedian guys I told you about? Mood Swing Golf, where they literally have like, hey dude, what's up? Dude, what are you wearing? You told me to wear a button. You told me to wear a collared shirt, so I'm wearing a collared shirt. He's wearing like a long, business shirt.
Yeah. So my 6 picks, I'd have to say Scotty. I'm gonna say Scotty Scheffler, Victor Hovland, John Rahm. My favorite one to win this weekend, I think, is going to be Rory. I don't know.
He lives there now, right? He lives in Florida, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling that Rory's gonna surprise some people. That's 4. So my other one, I think is Matt Fitzpatrick.
I almost picked him. I didn't. Isn't it crazy how he's recorded every single shot he's hit over the last 10 years? Like all the range balls he hits, he records every single shot. That's insane, man.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. And then I think for the last one, I'm going to go with Victor. And it's crazy. I feel like you look at the kid and he looks like he would speak, I'm Victor, with an accent, but he has no accent at all. And it kind of upsets me with that Oslo flag. Yeah, I know. I mean, he's been here since a teenager. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been here since a teenager, but it's true. Just come on, if you don't know the kid, you would not have expected that to be his. Well, look at John Rahm. John Rahm really doesn't have much of an accent anymore.
Really?
Either.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And it's
very little.
It's like the classic story. Oh yeah, I learned slang through hip hop when I got to Arizona State.
Through hip hop, through the Flintstones, through some TV shows or something like that.
Yeah. Well, no. He was saying he was just listening to 50 Cent, NWA, like Dr. Dre. He like started learning like all these things through hip hop music and like classic hip hop. And then it wasn't until like the team started talking to him, and then he started getting into more conversations. And then now it's like, yeah, I just recently watched the good video with him, playing golf with those guys, and you can't even tell that he's from Spain. Like you can't even tell that he has an accent anymore. I didn't even realize it like until I really listened in. I was like, holy smokes, like the heck. But all right then, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in for another exciting episode. We're gonna go ahead and close it out. Vice Golf, we're looking for sponsorship. We're welcome to trying out anything you guys got. We're welcome to taking any swag you guys are willing to offer. I greatly appreciate how good your golf ball is. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I literally bought 10 dozen within like the same week. So you're welcome for that. And yeah, and, hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And let's go Rory for the weekend.
All right.